Forces of fanaticism and extremism in South Lebanon.
Benjamin Netanyahu rose to prominence in 1984 as Israel's permanent representative to the United Nations. Domestically, he served as the country's deputy foreign minister, following the 1990 Temple Mount incident, where 17 Palestinians were killed. At the time, Netanyahu was critical of the UN's lack of support for Israeli actions.
We can see the fair-mindedness of the UN. Jews have been murdered in the capital, not a word. Hundreds of Lebanese civilians murdered in Beirut, not a word. But when Israel takes police action and even scrutinizes itself with an investigatory committee, then we have this ganging up on Israel. It's unfair, it's unjust, it's untenable.
In 1996, the right-wing Likud party elected Netanyahu as its chairperson and appointed him the first democratically elected prime minister in Israel's history. But right-wing politicians criticized Netanyahu for returning 80% of Hebron to Palestinians and agreeing to withdraw from the occupied West Bank. Hardline conservatives put so much pressure on him that he stepped down from the party leadership in 1999.
I think that the Netanyahu government fall down because they didn't make hard decisions. If Netanyahu would make hard decisions, he would remain prime minister. And I think a prime minister and the government has to make clear and hard decisions. Then there will be a feeling among the people that we are going to make a real choice for the future.
In 2005, Netanyahu's political career received a boost following Ariel Sharon's split with the Likud party. Netanyahu ran for his old job, this time with a more aggressive agenda.
There's a battle for Jerusalem. The purpose of this visit is to point out that the Prime Minister Sharon has frozen the ability to build the connection between Jerusalem and Ma'ale Adumim and create thereby greater Jerusalem. In fact, what is being created is a greater Palestine by the building of Palestinian communities from Ramallah to the south to Bethlehem. What we need to do is to break this siege by building here. Sharon will build here, I will.
Netanyahu won the 2009 election and ordered a 10-month freeze on illegal settlements. Negotiations with Palestinians broke down a year later, and various groups resumed firing rockets from Gaza into Israel. Netanyahu's relationship with the U.S. was also tested under Barack Obama. The two disagreed on issues such as settlement expansion in the occupied West Bank and the Iran nuclear deal. But Netanyahu could still rely on Washington.
The relations between Israel and the United States are those of allies and friends and are based on tradition spanning many years. Even when we have differences of opinions, they are amongst friends, and that's the way they will remain.
In 2017, Donald Trump took over as U.S. president and reversed decades of American foreign policy. He recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital, as well as the Jewish nation's sovereignty over the occupied Golan Heights. For Netanyahu, it was a massive victory.
This is a great moment for Israel, an historic moment. We will celebrate it together, all of Israel's citizens. It has historical, long-term implications and ramifications. On behalf of the whole government and the people, I would like to thank President Trump for both his leadership and friendship.
The two leaders had also devised a so-called peace plan for the Middle East, which they dubbed the deal of the century. Not only did Palestinians consider it dead on arrival, but Netanyahu's political fortunes also began to change. In 2017, allegations of bribery and corruption saw him entangled in a federal investigation. He dismissed the accusations as part of a political witch hunt.
I intend to serve you and the country as Prime Minister for many more years. Don't believe all the spin.
But in 2019, the Attorney General filed indictments against Netanyahu for bribery and fraud. He became the first sitting Israeli Prime Minister to be charged with a crime. It was also around this time that parliamentary elections were held 7 months early. While Likud scraped out a victory, it didn't get enough support to form a government. It would take another 2 snap elections to break the political stalemate. Then, in 2020, the government failed to pass the national budget by the December deadline, triggering a historic fourth vote. 6 months later, finally, Netanyahu's rivals were able to push Israel's longest-serving prime minister out of power. Mired by corruption and bribery charges and 3 assaults on Gaza that left more than 2,500 Palestinians and 90 Israelis dead, critics say Netanyahu's failures outweigh his achievements. Obeideh Hito, TRT World.